Hello, screenwriters. Welcome back to Five Questions with a Screenwriter. And the screenwriter we have with us today is Jeff Barker. Jeff, thank you so much for being on the show.
Yeah, glad to be here.
Before we get started, I do want to share something though. What's interesting is I followed Jeff's YouTube channel called the Screenplay Lab, and then I reached out to Jeff on the blacklist without knowing that it was the same Jeff that I follow. So I love your YouTube channel. So I really appreciate you, being on my channel. So thank you so much.
Yeah, always happy to help, and thanks for watching. I'm glad you like it.
Of course. All right, let's get started. So question number one, what are three screenplays every new writer should read in your opinion?
Oh man, that's a good one because that's at the Screenplay Lab. That's what we do. We break down screenplays
Yes.
every week. So I mean, I've read a countless number of screenplays. Yeah, I guess it really comes down to recency bias. I guess the things I've most recently read. So because I mean, they're always the classics. But I recently reread The Social Network for one of my podcast episodes. I think that one's a great one for screenwriters to read. The Barbie screenplay, I mean, whether you like that or not, I mean, it's a great example of comedic voice in a screenplay. And then most recently, I just broke down Paradise, which is not a feature screenplay. It's a pilot for a 1 hour series. And, it's Dan Fogelman. And it's the first time I'd ever actually read him. And I could see why he's done so well. And of course, it's not just him. There's a writer's room. But his voice is there. It's the same sort of voice that you see with This Is Us, that sort of thing. But let's see. That aside, if I was going to pick another screenplay to dig into, well, I write psychological horror, so those are the ones that mean the most to me. So you can't go wrong with Ari Aster, especially Midsommar or Hereditary. We broke down Hereditary on the channel, and there's some really great stuff in there.
You know what? The viewers who watch me know that how much I love the Social Network screenplay. Actually, the Social Network is like my all-time favorite screenplay. So that's actually how I found your channel, because
Okay.
you know how you know how the algorithm recommends stuff. So I guess it must have known that I love the Social Network. Then I saw the thumbnail Social Network. I was like, ooh, is he gonna talk about my favorite screenplay? So then, so yes, I watched that. I love that breakdown. And then ever since then, I've been watching ever since. And then, yep. So,
That's great because with the algorithm, I mean, you're up to the mercy of the algorithm. I try to be consistent, put out the same type of content, and then one week it'll do great. The next week, hardly anybody watches it. And I think it's just really a matter of who it gets pushed to.
yeah. All right. Question number two: what is something a screenwriter will never learn in a book?
Wow. Okay. I didn't go to film school, so I don't know. But I have read a lot of screenwriting books when I was first starting out. I think it is a thing to do for sure. But it has been a while. Let's see. The thing you wouldn't learn in a book. Man, I wish you'd have sent me these questions ahead of time. I could have been thinking.
I'm glad I didn't because I want this reaction.
Yeah. Let me see here. Well, I mean, there may be some books that talk about this, but I think the most important thing is really to have your own voice, and that takes some time. I mean, everybody wants to, just write and be great, but it does take time to find your voice because, we all start off imitating someone else, whether we know it or not. We see something that works, we like it, and we sort of incorporate that into what we're doing. But over time, when the confidence comes on board, you really are able to sort of let that go, and just whatever comes out of you is there and feel confident about it. And that's when you really find your own voice, is when things take off, because it's more authentic. I write very sparse prose, quick, punchy, to the point. That's what works for me, I think. But I came from writing long form prose, novels, short stories. And so it took, I was, when I wrote my first screenplay, it was a lot of that. It was just too much overwriting. But you asked about the textbooks, and of course they all say that, not to overwrite and stuff. But I think that's the main thing is just, getting the experience and writing and never giving up. And then when you find your own voice, that's when you're locked in.
That's true. Very true. Because like a book could, teach you about, okay, like formatting, but once you know the format, like everyone could have the same formatting, but it's your voice that comes out of what you put on that blank sheet of paper. So it's
Yeah.
very true.
Well, now that you brought that up, that's one thing I can say. I'm one. There's the two camps of like, follow the rules, don't follow the rules. I'm a there are no rules guy. It's worked for me. I haven't done anything too crazy in my screenplays, but I feel like if I wanted to, I would. There's nothing holding me back from it. And of course, in school, they're being very rigorous about teaching, young or emerging writers to, learn the format. It's always good to know what sort of is expected before you go start doing your own thing. But at the same time, I think being afraid of the rules and trying to be so rigid stifles creativity at times.
You know what? Speaking of like formatting and rules, I recently watched an episode breaking down the Barbie screenplay, and you like showed that the different things that they did, like were like some like had no slug line, there was others like underlined, so that was a very good breakdown. It's a good example how even though there are rules, but there really is no rule.
That's right. Another good example is, I don't know if you've seen the film Waves by Schultz. And that's it's also a Sterling K. Brown. He's in it, but the screenplay is great. And Schultz has another film coming out this summer with The Weeknd, but he's very like into music, and Waves has a lot of music in it. But the thing that stood out to me as far as like breaking the rules or whatever is his Waves has a lot of young people, and so there's tons of texting, in this screenplay. And I had never seen this before. He came up with his own formatting for texting. He would actually use the dual dialogue down the page at the same time, and he would stagger like a ladder so you could see the text. It was easy to read, just like if you were actually reading someone's phone and seeing the conversation go down the ladder, and he would do that down the page. I thought that was really cool. So we're talking about inventing things on the page. That one really stood out to me.
And then one thing that stands out to me, I remember the first time I read a screenplay where I realized there was breaking the rule. I'm like, wait a second, are they supposed to be doing this? Is the 500 Days of Summer screenplay? I'm not sure if you ever read that screenplay, but in the beginning, like I forgot the exact wording, but he says this script is dedicated to so and so. Then like, no, not you. Like, I don't know. It was just like something I've never seen before. Normally, a screenplay start with the slug line, action, dialogue, but then so that was the first time I've seen someone break a rule. I was like, oh, this is cool.
Yeah, if you really want to see some rule breaking, you should read Heretic. That one's crazy.
Wait, which one?
Heretic.
Oh, Heretic. Okay.
That's the team of screenwriters. I'm trying to their name doesn't come to my head. They're very good, very famous screenwriters. But there's like tons and tons of drawings and pictures in there, and just like upside down stuff. And another one is that the film. What's the name of it? It's where the aliens come, and there's this girl, and she doesn't talk the whole. She says like 2 words the whole film. It's one of these silent films, but it's not because it's not the ones where people like don't talk because something is going to get them. She's just like really depressed and alone, and she has no one to talk to, so she doesn't talk. Oh, I wish I could remember the name of that. I can look it up. But that one has, when she finally does say something, I believe, or the alien says something to her, it's a whole page of like dots, and it's what she says or whatever is being said is like coded into that.
Oh,
It's really,
right. That's
yeah.
interesting. The most recent screenplay that I read, I saw where they did some weird stuff on the pages was The Substance. I'm not sure if he
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, should have mentioned that one. That one's got some crazy stuff.
So
Yeah.
now, so off topic. Well, actually, let's move away from the questions for a little bit and remain on this topic. So, in your opinion, right? Do you feel that as a new writer starting out, like you shouldn't be doing that? You should just be like doing like the basic formatting, and then once you establish, then start going crazy. What's your opinion on that?
Well, I don't think so. I think you should never put yourself in a box. I think it is important to know the rules because if someone's going to want to option your script or want to represent you, they want to know that you know the craft and know what you're doing. But at the same time, look, I mean, you really there's so many screenplays, and you can do something to separate yourself. I mean, it really comes down to the story and the words on the page. So, I mean, it's not an art project, but I wouldn't just be beholden to traditional formatting just because you're afraid that someone's going to be like, no one's ever going to be, no one's ever going to say, wow, this was a great screenplay. I really wish that they would have written it in regular formatting. Too bad we have to pass. It's just, it really comes down to the story.
Yeah, yep. Story is king, as they say. All right. Question number three. All right. Since you're someone who reads a lot of screenplays and you break down a lot of screenplays, so this one might be tough for you, but try
Okay.
your best. All right. What is the greatest character arc you've seen in a story?
Well, you bring up, again, it's recency bias, but you bring up the substance, and that is a really tremendous character arc. Um, hmm. Oh, that's a good question. Yeah. Um, Nightcrawler's one, you know, because he really by the end is a totally different person. Yeah, I'm gonna go substance just because it is recent, but um, I mean it's really interesting because she changes so much, she becomes a whole different person, and then in the end, those two people have to battle it out to figure out who's gonna who's going to be there at the end. So I would just go with that. But there, really anything that you see that is a movie and is a screenplay is going to have strong character arcs, or it would never get made. I mean, that's what we're all trying to do is create stakes. And through those stakes and overcoming, characters start one place, they have to end up somewhere else, emotionally, psychologically, mentally, if not physically. So if you don't have that, then it's not something that we would all even know about because it wouldn't get made.
The substance was definitely a good choice. All right. Question number four. What was the first screenplay you wrote, and what was that writing process like?
Hmm. Let's see. First screenplay I wrote was um, well, I helped someone with a screenplay, and that's when I kind of got introduced to it. But the first one I wrote on my own was um, well, I had been writing for over 20 years before I ever wrote a screenplay, so I felt very confident in my writing and storytelling. But I was always intimidated by screenwriting, and because it just seemed like a foreign language, it seemed like something I didn't know anything about. But once I got exposed to it, it really resonated with me because I thought, wow, this is more of how I like to write cinematically, painting a visual picture, not as much interiority. And so it fit. But of course, it took a while to be able to be decent at it. But, I think the writing process then is the same as now. It's blue collar. Like when I write 6, 8 hours a day, every day, I don't wait for inspiration. I don't know. I've never been inspired. I feel like the story's in there and I just have to get to it. Also, I've got like, 7 screenplays right now that I'm working on at the same time because like just it's a living document that's always changing. And so I feel like if I haven't been in it for a while because I'm giving another one too much attention, I sort of like miss it and feel like, well, I need to get back to that. I don't want to lose those characters, lose that story. I probably have too many going, but I'm afraid to just shut one down and be like, okay, it's done. I hate to just leave it behind. Um, but that's how it goes. I mean, most of the stuff we write never sees the light of day. But I think that it's important to always be thinking about how can you improve the screenplay? How can you improve it? It's never finished, and then that happens when it gets sold, or if it's going to get made, you're going to be in now that's a new starting spot where you're collaborating with producers and directors, and because I always use the analogy like everybody wants to put their bricks on the Lego castle. No one's going to just sit there and let you build the castle and give it to them. Everybody wants ownership. We're all creative people, and quite frankly, it always gets better because more creative minds usually comes up with a better product. So, a screenwriter has to sort of put that pride aside and be like, okay, take the notes. It doesn't mean you just do everything someone says, but at the same time, if there is a note, if there's a reason, they may not be expressing it very well of what it is that's bothering them. They be like, this part was boring to me, or I don't understand this character. You have to find the note behind the note. You have to think hard about that sometimes. What do they really mean by that? And then that's how you can fix it. It may not be what they have suggested, and sometimes it is. But once you can figure out what it really is that they are trying to say, that's when you really can figure it out.
So if you could go back to your first screenplay, like do you see? Because most writers I talk to, their first screenplay usually suck, right? They're like, "Oh, well, what was I thinking?" Have you done that? Have you like went back and compared to when you started to where you are now? You've seen a huge improvement, right? I would take it.
Yeah, I have, but I'm still working on that screenplay, so it's
Oh,
not
got it.
you know what I mean. Like that's what I'm saying. I never stop putting them. I never put them away. So it's not like that one's in a drawer. I'm embarrassed and pull it out one day and laugh at it. Like I'm still working on it. In fact, I've won several screenplay contests with that screenplay. That was my first one. It's obviously it's way different than it was when I first wrote it. But I wouldn't even know how to count drafts. But let's just say it's 20, 30 drafts later, and it's a good screenplay. Draft one wasn't, and many of the drafts weren't. But it's not like it's just sitting in a drawer somewhere, still at draft one or two and bad. It's now a good screenplay and actually something that I think will be a movie someday. So
Grave Water? Is that the
yeah,
one?
I
Wait,
think so.
no way. Because wait, while I was doing some research on you, yeah, I saw that Grave Water one. Like, wait, so you mean to tell me? Wait a second. You mean to tell me your first screenplay like is winning awards? This never happens. Like, what is going on over here?
Well, I like I said, I came at it after 20 years of writing, so it's not like you know, I understood story, I understood characters, I understood stakes, themes. I think that's the thing that a lot of emerging screenwriters don't, it takes time to learn is like, if you're just telling a story and that's it, even if it's a great story, but it's just a story, no one's going to care. It's not interesting. There has to be these deep psychological themes that explore questions about ourselves that we don't want to talk about or we don't want to see. Like for a story to really resonate with someone, it has to relate to them. They have to read the story and take it into their own personal experiences. And that's when it really resonates. And so it's like if it's just this happens, then this happens, and then this happens, and then this happens. And even if it's really interesting stuff, it's like, okay, it's like a roller coaster ride and it was fun and it's over next. It means nothing. That's where like some of you said you like the substance, and so I mean that one has some deep psychological themes about how women are treated in society, bodies, the expectations of women, and all the things that we have a long, long way to get better at. So I think that's why it meant so much to so many people.
Well, that's awesome. Like I'm still amazed by your first screenplay. All right, let's move on to the final question. Question number 5. All right. I know you say you're working on 7 different stories at the same time, so this question might be a little tricky, but here we go.
Okay.
Okay. You get to plan and go on a non-romantic date slash hangout with your current main character. What does that date look like?
Okay. All right. Well, I'll pick the most recent screenplay that I wrote. I just finished one like 2 weeks ago, and and it's out with a pretty big actor right now. So waiting to hear back from them to see if they're interested. I'm blown away by that. And that one takes place over. It's a contained world psychological horror that takes place over 12 hours uh, during an event. I won't say what it is, but so let me see. So the main character there is a guy who wants to be a good dad, but has failed miserably because of the grief and the pain that he has in his life, and um, and he just beats himself up, but also rightfully so, because he's it's not that he's abusive or a father in that way. He's just more of like so crippled by this grief that he's turned inward and he's not taking care of his kid properly, but he loves his kid and his kid loves him. So you can imagine by the end of the screenplay, there's some major growth there, right? But the question was, what would I do with this person? Well, I'd take him to a baseball game, probably a minor league game, so he could sit in the sun on a Sunday, away from everybody, and put our feet on the seats in front of us, and have a couple of cold drinks, and watch a slow baseball game where we could talk. And I think that would be a lot of fun.
I like that. I like that. All right. This has been 5 questions with screenwriter Jeff Barker. Jeff, I do want to ask you before we sign off, what's a recent film or TV show you've watched you would recommend to our viewers?
Hmm. Let me see. Oh, can I look at my phone? Because I just watched a
Yes, of
movie like
course.
blew me away, and I'd never heard of it. And I just put it on my letterbox and gave it 4.5 stars, which I'm pretty hard on letterbox. I don't even go by my name because I don't want to meet somebody and then be like, you trashed my movie. Because look, I mean, it's all art, subjective.
Yeah,
So, but I was blown away by this one. It's called The Assessment, and I'm just shocked that more people aren't talking about it. It just came out the last fall, and it's from director Fleur Fortnew, and it's got Elizabeth Olsen in it, and it's like a near future sci-fi where people live in a community and they have this medicine that they can live forever, but because of that, the resources, they have to take care of the resources to be able to live forever, right? And so they've made it where you can't have children because more people means you have to divide the resources by more people, by more people, divide it up. And they allow some people to have kids if you let this person come in and assess your family, you and your spouse or your partner, for 7 days, and they determine that you're worthy of it. And it was good. I really enjoyed it. I would recommend people checking it out. I'm surprised that it's not doing better.
what a cool concept. I like that. Is it like streaming somewhere or is it on theaters?
Yeah.
Where is it?
It is streaming. Maybe on HBO. No, no, no. It wasn't on HBO. Oh, Hulu. It's on Hulu.
Hulu. Okay. Yes, I have Hulu. So
Yeah,
perfect.
yeah. Check it out. Yes, that's
Yeah, the assessment. All right. I'll probably
it's
watch
a
it
slow
tonight.
burn, psychological. I mean, that's my vibe. So some people, like I just watched. Well, no, I didn't like it, so I won't say what it was.
All right, all right. That is it, Jeff. Before we sign off, is there anything else that you want to share? And I'll make sure to link your YouTube channel and your podcast in the description. Is there anything
All right.
else that you want to share?
Well, I mean, my son is Curry Barker, and we're going. Our big family news is, his film Obsession that he wrote and directed is going to premiere at TIFF, the Toronto International Film Festival, and I mean that's big news. And not only that, he has the same time slot as The Substance had last year, where it premiered. So I don't know if that means anything other than they like it and they feel like it's a really good film, and it is scary as heck. And I was there for quite a few of the days of filming, and I've seen some cuts, but his most recent cut, he wanted to share it with me last night, and I said, nope, I don't want to see anymore, and I want to see the next thing I see is on the screen
Nice.
at the premiere. But he's really awesome, and I'm so proud of him. So looking forward to that. So if anybody's in Toronto for that, come say hi. I'd like to meet some people.
Congrats to Curry. That's amazing. And yeah, I can't wait to see it, when it comes out for the rest of us.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome.
All right, Jeff. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you doing this with me. I know you're busy, with your own YouTube channel and your own writing. So thanks so much for taking the time to come in and chat screenwriting with me.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Thanks for having me.
Brainstorm, break it down, make a dream, create a scene with Stratwood.